I didn't yawn.
I saw you yawning.
I know. I definitely didn't yawn. I was probably like this. Wow. Wow, so good. 1, 2, 3.
That was kind of.
You kind of got it.
Yeah,
Scared me.
Welcome back to the Decent Human Podcast. My name is Evan.
I'm Jenny.
I'm Chris.
Great. And we have a very special guest with us today. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi guys, I'm DEANDRA.
Woo!
Thank you for joining us
Welcome,
today.
welcome,
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you
No
for
problem.
joining us. Well, DeAndra, we are so excited to have you on our podcast today.
Thank you.
Let the people know, who are you?
Who is she?
Yeah.
Who is this girl?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Hey
Do we have
guys.
time for all
Do
that?
we have time? Honestly, I like that you asked me that question. I'm changing. I
Yeah.
feel like people previously know me from The Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise, and like that's been my image, and that's not who I am anymore.
Yeah.
And not in the sense that like I'm not the same girl that you saw on television, but I feel like I'm coming into this new season of life, and that's why I'm in California. So I don't know. I'm still discovering myself.
I love
Cool.
that.
That's amazing,
How long
yeah.
have you been here then?
In Cali, on and off since March. So I would go between California and Dallas. I was like jumping from sublease to sublease, and now I found a spot that I'm going to be here until like December.
So you can kind of like sink in a little bit
Yeah.
and get to know LA.
A little bit. LA, I was telling her earlier, LA is like a complicated place to me because every single city is so different within LA
Totally.
and
Right?
LA itself. Yeah.
And I think that going back to your speech that you gave on your panel, didn't the senator say there's like 83 cities or something like that within Los Angeles itself?
Yeah, something
Yeah.
crazy
Insane.
like that. It's
But
a
you're
very
absolutely
big
right.
place.
It's all very different. You go to Santa Monica, it feels one
Yeah.
vibe. You go to Venice, it's a different vibe. Then you go to Culver City, Marina
You go
del
all the way
Rey.
out to the boonies where he
Where
lives.
is
This
he?
dude, he lives in the valley in the show.
Oh, the valley.
Yeah.
I hear
I
about
know.
the valley. The
No,
seafood.
no,
Deep valley.
You stay out of the valley.
Everyone's like, you want to come out here? We're like, no.
You know the hill that everybody talks about going over the hill? They
yeah.
actually put that there to separate us valley people
I-
from the other side.
I'm starting to realize I feel like the people in the valley like know something that the people not in the valley don't know.
Yeah, it's called cost of living.
I think that might be. I really think that's it though.
Yeah, you might be onto something. I just don't want to live in that
Yeah.
like death trap of a valley.
It's like 115 on the summers.
Hey, right now it is gorgeous. It's nice and cool.
You guys get like
and
negative 15 in the winter, snow.
it just snows. We just get all sorts of seasons out there. We got like
Wait,
32
you did have
seasons.
a power plant issue, right?
It was a gas leak.
Yeah. So you
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
It was an- it was
See?
a-
That's why you don't live in the valley.
No,
We
but the
just-
Kardashians live there, don't they?
Yeah, I live next door to them.
Y'all have the Kardashians.
That's not true.
Yeah, we share a driveway.
That's fabulous.
I don't live in that part of the valley, but yes, they do live out there. It's up and coming.
It's
Check it out.
Yeah, check. Yeah, don't check,
Check it out.
Don't check it
Maybe
out.
next year. I'll do the valley.
So I know you kind of mentioned that you're on the show. You're in this transformation phase right now.
Right.
But maybe share with us a little bit about your experience on The Bachelor. Just want to hear a little bit about that.
Okay. So I was on season 24 of The Bachelor. It was Pilot Pete season. I like reality TV. I'm not sure if that was like the healthiest environment for me because like the concept of the show is 30 girls, one guy, and like you're competing for this person's love. And I think that there's like this misconception that you can truly be yourself in a setting like that.
Yeah.
And you can't. Like
yeah, that's
imagine
got to be impossible to
It is.
like even.
Now, was going on The Bachelor, was that something that you sought after? Were you casted? Were you like, what was that process like?
So a little bit of both. So I always knew like in my back of my head, like I was telling him earlier, like I wanted to be like an actress. I wanted to be on television. I just loved the camera. And so I would never watch The Bachelor. Like I didn't really know what it was. Like I've heard of it, little
Chris
stuff.
is a big fan. He wants
A huge fan.
I don't even watch it.
It's
I
a
only
guilty
get-
pleasure.
okay, so like, just to preface everything, I don't watch it at all. Now I'm watching Bachelor in Paradise because we have a friend who's on there, so that's the only Victoria.
Oh yeah.
But that's literally it. That's the extent of everything. I knew nothing.
That's not what you were
prior
saying.
to
I
it.
saw your watch history. Anyways, go on.
So I had just recently got out of a relationship. All of my college experience, I was in a 4-year relationship, and his sister was actually like, "There's this show called The Bachelor. Like, you should just apply as a joke." And so I just like jokingly applied. I did like the craziest things. You have to write a bio about
They
yourself.
probably
and
loved it.
Oh yeah, they did.
I'm sure that was like
They go for
exactly
the
what they wanted.
craziest
Yeah.
stuff.
I did like the craziest thing. Like I wrote in caps and like kind of like how I speak, like is how I was typing. So I was like typing in like caps and like lower cases and like mixing up and they were like, okay. I got a call like 3 weeks later, like, hey, like this is blank from The Bachelor. And I was like so shocked. And then it was just like one step after the other. And somehow I made it to the finals and I was the girl
on the show.
I was on the show.
That's cool.
That's crazy. Do you remember like specific examples that were just kind of you over exaggerated or anything you put into your audition essay?
I think that was like when I was like in my Bad Girls Club era, like, you know, like when you're like watching Bad Girls Club, and that's like how I kind of envision reality TV.
Yeah.
Not that that's how I am at all.
Yeah.
So
I used to love that show, by the way.
it was amazing. It was great television. I don't even remember specifically, but I think I was something like, I'm not the kind of girl you would mess with. Like if you mess with me, I'm going to speak my voice.
All the tips. So if you want any tips to get on just talk crazy.
I feel like they just want controversy to like,
no, for sure.
You know, so anyone
It's
that's
drama.
gonna
They have to
come
create
off
drama.
Yeah.
That's why I watch Love Island. You know?
I like Love Island.
I love Love Island.
You love it.
I got addicted to it over the pandemic. I blame the pandemic. It's COVID's fault.
Yeah.
People caught
That's
COVID.
what
I caught Love Island. And so it was, I went through UK. I went through Australia. The US version
There's
came
a
out.
lot of episodes too. For you, that's a lot of hours.
Isn't
you
it like
actually
3 a
spent.
week or something like that?
No, they're like every day. There's like 50 episodes per season.
Oh, wow.
It's insane. And guess what? I watched them all.
Yeah, you love it. You love Love Island.
It was great. It's good TV. But okay, so you get on the show, and now obviously you said you weren't going after reality TV. It wasn't something that you wanted to be on, essentially, but you were there, and then you kind of talked about it, like where you can be yourself on a show like that, but it wasn't really the case. Why is that?
So I think that you can to a certain degree. So like when you're competing for, think of the concept of The Bachelor. So it may not be someone that you would even date in real life. Like you don't necessarily know. Like in our case, we didn't know till the day before it was Pilot Pete. Like it was like a toss up between who it was going to be. Because at that time they were trying to figure out The Bachelor. So it becomes like competitive in your mind. Like how can I convince this guy who might not even like me in real life?
But like convince him to keep me around a little bit.
Yeah, to convince him to keep me around and like to make sure that I'm doing enough. Because in real life, like
You wouldn't.
me shooting my shot, I say this all the time. I'm like, I'll look at you and then it's like, that's it. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to do anything. So it was like this
That's
weird
probably
thing.
really hard to put yourself out there in that way and then know that like thousands, well, hundreds of thousands of people are going to watch you be vulnerable. in that
Bachelor
situation.
Nation is a crazy thing.
It's a crazy
Well, then
thing.
also I'm thinking like, I know how it is when like I'm a certain way just by myself, but when I have a camera on me, you freeze up. So then you have to also overcome that part of it too, right?
You do. And honestly, like the first day I was like a little weirded out, like it's like cameras, but after that you kind of don't
used to it.
notice
Get
it.
used to it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it more so becomes like you'll have producers all around you, but it's almost like they're not there because you're so focused on the goal. And so in the case is like, how can I get Peter's attention? Like, how can I stand out? So anytime he
So
comes
what
in,
was your strategy going into it? Like, did it
He
evolve?
always goes like the
standout?
sports question. What's your strategy?
What was your game plan?
Analogy. Let's put it back to sports, like football strategy.
yeah. So I think the first round, because I was on Bachelor and then I was on Bachelor in Paradise. So I think my first time on The Bachelor, I didn't have a strategy. And I know other girls did. And I wasn't hip to like the reality world. So I didn't know that you needed to come in and like know the role you were going to play and like understand how you were navigating it. I was like really naive. And I think that's part of the reason I got sent home so early.
Yeah.
Like I went home like week 4.
Oh, wow, okay.
I just wasn't doing enough.
yeah.
I probably wasn't connecting enough. I wasn't.
That's crazy because like you're probably doing more than anyone would in an
Oh,
actual
for sure.
dating situation because you don't have to do that much to just
Yeah.
connect with someone sometimes.
Right. But then you also still have those girls that do nothing and they make it all the way to the end. Like they do the opposite of everything. And it's like
They play hard to get kind of a thing.
Yeah. And it's almost like it's way easier for them to move forward.
Yeah.
And I always say like this is a conversation like Bachelor Nation needs to have in general is like we see the lead or like the contestants that always make it to the end all look very similar.
Yeah.
And it's like the girls who don't look so similar, it's like way harder for us to like find connections and like make it towards the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's also something that they need to consider whenever they cast people.
Yeah.
So you had that experience, then you go on to Bachelor in Paradise. What was the time frame between like Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise?
So Bachelor was 2019 and we had COVID. So we weren't even able to film. Usually it's like back to back that they film. So we went back in 2021 to film for Bachelor in Paradise.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it was a long break over a year.
When you go back to film, so you had your experience at Bachelor, then you go into Bachelor in Paradise. did your mindset change going into the second show?
Yeah, I think I was like, I'm gonna like show way more of my personality, because the first time I was like nervous. I was like a little bit of a wreck. I was like not knowing how to navigate.
Now you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm an OG. I'm ready to go. I got a game plan. I was talking to Chris, coach, and everything.
Yeah. So I was like, this time around, I'm gonna show my personality. I'm gonna say what I think and like still be really authentic to myself, but like get out what I'm thinking in my head so that people can hear it. And I think that was way better. And when it comes to reality TV, I think always be yourself and like always speak your mind, because if you don't, there's a way for it to be edited where it might not necessarily look like something that you intended for it to look like.
That makes sense. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And you're also going from one guy to like multiple guys.
Yeah.
What's the difference with even trying to compete in that direction?
I mean,
the dynamic shift of that.
Yeah.
it's a dynamic shift, but at the same time, it's still really stressful, because I feel like Love Island's different. I don't know how to describe it, but I feel like in Bachelor in Paradise,
I can describe it.
yeah, he can break it down. A whole presentation. You still have that stress to like compete and like find a guy really quick, and like even you're watching this recent season, it's like day one, people were like,
it's intense. Like I'll be like, I don't like this. Like,
yeah,
I think you would do good on a show like that.
Would you ever go?
No.
I think you would.
No, I would not do it.
You would do it.
I would not do it.
I think you would do it.
Why?
I would
just
pay
would
big
not.
money to see that.
That's not really something I'd want to do.
I would shoot that show for free if you were like 1,000%.
Because like
you've heard it here.
John's like, no.
It takes a while to warm up and be comfortable like
Yeah.
in that sort of scenario.
Yeah, it does.
It would just be a mess.
That's interesting. So, okay, so I haven't seen Bachelor in Paradise.
Okay.
So, but I'm getting the sense that it's similar to like Love Island. Sorry to keep going back to it, but it's you have a group of guys, group of girls, and then they come together and you try and partner up.
So yeah, essentially it's group of guy, group of girls, and there's always like a slightly uneven number. So like
someone's gonna get
So
cut
the
if
loner.
there's no pair.
exactly.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be like, so usually like the guys have the roses first or something like that. So it's like there's going to be more girls than guys. And so like at the end of the week, the guys are going to hand out the roses, and then whatever girls are left over go home, and then they'll send more guys, and more guys, and then there'll be more guys, less girls. So it like flip flops, and then whoever's the excess gets cut.
That's like a different kind of stress. That's like when you're in like high school and you're
Kickball?
getting picked for a team and you don't get like.
No.
It's a lot. It's like mentally taxing.
I'm like going back to like my childhood trauma days.
Like, everybody scoot in. Jenny's up.
I was not athletic when I was like young. You wouldn't know that now.
You
but
kick ass.
Yeah, she's a badass boxer, so she's
but
good.
yeah, that's like
It's
traumatizing a little bit. How do you like come out of that and be like not affected by one being judged like all the time by people, because you're constantly putting yourself out there and having people pick you apart,
Right.
one just because you're on TV, but then you're in this group setting where it's like you have to compete and all that.
Yeah. Mentally, I feel like a lot of people come off the show with like some kind of trauma. And like me, myself, I definitely did. And it's not something I talk about a lot because I like got less airtime than some of the other people. So I feel like people with more airtime, there's like the assumption that like you have to work out stuff more because you're getting more judgment. But I feel like we all go through a process of like post-show. Like it's like this weird anxious, it's not, I wouldn't say like depression, but it's like you come out of it and it's like, what is life?
Yeah.
Like,
Because you're in this like weird bubble of like a different reality for a while, and then you have to go back into normal life and then navigate the effects of what just happened on the show.
What would you say were some of the things you had to deal with?
So one of them is just like getting used to this is, I'll like separate it. So one of them is the actual physical of like getting away from the show. So like you're always mic'd up, like there's always producers around, and like going from that transition to like it just cuts off and like you're back to normal life. There's no cameras, there's like no mics. In my situation, I never have talked about this, but one time, like when I was fresh off the show, I was hanging out with some friends and I was drinking and I got drunk. And they said that I was like freaking out, like I'm mic'd up, like they're gonna hear what we're saying, like. And I was really drunk, and I didn't remember it the next day. And my friends were like, "Are you good?"
It's like PTSD.
Yeah. And it's so weird for me because it's like I was there, you know, not as long as some of the other ones, but I was like, I guess like my brain had like this residual, like you're mic'd up, like be careful what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's gonna get aired, like be careful, you know. And then another thing is like the judgment from the show. Some girls get like Victoria, she got it horrible like when we were on The Bachelor, and it's like the fact that she was able to like recover and come back, like kudos to her because that was really difficult. Dealing with people like picking you apart, saying you're not good enough, or like the way that you're portrayed on the show is not necessarily always up to you. If you know you were naive and you weren't yourself.
Yeah, it's never really up to you. You're kind of playing a role. Like they put you in these caricatures.
And you
of
don't
yourself.
really have any control over like how things are edited and put together too. So it can just come out
that's a
whole
big piece of
different
it.
way.
Yeah. And that's why I say like be authentic. Like one thing that I wouldn't do is like I wouldn't feel pressure from the producers to do anything that I wouldn't do. So like anyone who does do something that they wouldn't do, I'm like,
Then
you
stress.
you need to kind of deal with that morally because that's something that you have to decide in the place. Like
that's crazy.
if someone tells you to do something.
And this is something we've been talking about a lot lately, but how do you handle the criticism, just feedback of anything? Like it's like, oh, I didn't like the way I was portrayed, or like certain people were saying certain comments on this scenario that how do you deal with that?
I mean, honestly, like recently I got a lot of hate online and a recent situation I was in, and it was really hard for me. So I think some people like I deal with it by like not acknowledging it because I don't like to feed into things because the more you like try to give back or like say something or make a statement, like the more people take that and twist it and run with it. So I dealt with it like by kind of staying offline. And it's really hard because it makes you not, if you're a content creator, you don't want to post content. You don't want to like it takes away from your creative spirit. And it honestly affected me for like weeks and weeks and weeks.
Was it about the show?
Yeah, it was just like stupid show drama. Like I was seen with someone and they're like, oh, this person and this person is dating. And like that person had just come off an engagement. And I'm like, this is so far from the truth.
Just the things that people make up from nothing.
And it's like the things they were calling me like a homewrecker, like a skank, like how can you, and I'm like, you guys don't even know. Like, this is
I feel like people forget that people on reality TV, they're still real people.
Yeah.
Like it's still a normal person that you'd see going down the street and their life is being broadcasted.
Yeah.
It doesn't give anyone permission to like start calling names and stuff.
But that's with social media in general. And I feel like we have this problem with society where people are forgetting that we're not avatars. Like these people that you see online, like you, like just because maybe people don't see you in person, they just assume that you're like this avatar and like the things that you comment on their pictures and videos that they'll never see. I'm like, this is my Instagram. I'm going to see everything that you're saying.
Yeah.
Everything that you're
doing. And it affects me
generating.
personally.
Yeah. Like
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no! Like if you wouldn't say something to someone in person, don't say it online.
I agree.
No, exactly.
So I'm not like an influencer. I have no following, but like
You influence.
You influence
in your own way.
because of this podcast, we started getting our first like hate comments or like negative comments.
Welcome.
And
Yeah, we did.
How? It's like
I'm looking at you.
And I'm just like so floored by some of the things we get. I'm like, really? Like the people will be like, wow, a whole minute with nothing intelligent said. And I'm like, or like someone will be like, I can't believe these people are giving anyone advice. This girl is 40 and done nothing. I'm like, first of all, I'm not 40.
I didn't even see
like,
that one.
You don't know anything about me.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's interesting to see just because you always bring it back to trying to understand the psychology of like why these people feel the need to say the negative things and do the things that they do. So like trying to understand what's going on their end.
And a lot of the time it's just a reflection on themselves.
Oh, for sure.
It has nothing to do with you or anybody. You know, it's just a reflection on how they're feeling about themselves in that current time.
100%. Because I think about it like me as a normal person that I am right now. I don't have the time or capacity or care about anyone else's life enough to comment something on their video like, you look so, I don't want,
Yeah,
why?
exactly.
But that doesn't even cross your mind,
that
right?
doesn't, no.
It's just like-
So I'm like, what mentally are you guys going through that I affect your life to that degree where you need to comment something hateful or you affect someone's life for being your age and for being funny.
People are just, I mean, I deal with this a lot from work. We have like a Discord of thousands of people and they're just like online 24/7. They like live in this Discord internet community. And so there's always like crazy comments going around. And I just think it's people that don't have something outside of that, like some other outlet. I think they just get sucked into this like black hole, and like someone else saying something can really put them into a spiral, and then they just attack everyone. Is what I've seen.
Y'all need hobbies. That's what it boils down
Healthy
to.
outlets.
Healthy outlets.
and some therapy.
Some therapy.
So you get off Bachelor in Paradise, and when is the transition to move to LA?
So it was a while after actually. So I got off Paradise in 2021, like the summer of 2021, and I didn't come to LA till March of 2022. So this year. It wasn't like it wasn't like show related or anything like that. Cause you know, a lot of girls go on The Bachelor, then all of a sudden like they're moving to LA and it's like, wait, what are you guys doing? Like I wasn't a lead. So I'm not coming to LA because of my,
to
time.
kind of transition from reality TV to continue acting or anything like that.
Yeah, like I've always wanted to be like a host or like a television personality.
I could see that for you.
Yeah,
that would be good.
I would love to do that, but it's like maintain. This is the reality that maybe some like influencers talk about, but it's like working full time to maintain, but like chasing your dream. And it's like this weird dance where like I'm 26 and I feel like I'm like society's telling me I'm getting older and that I need to like, you know, really like get down to what I'm trying to do. And so I'm like balancing this full-time job and it's in pharmaceutical sales, which is completely different from content creation or television.
It's like you're living like a double life, like two different
like a secret
worlds.
agent.
No, literally. And it's like, it takes away like the creativity and like the fun from the content creation and the things I want to do because they're two completely different industries. It's like, how do you can't mix.
Yep.
So from like 9 to 6, my brain's in pharmaceuticals. And then after that, if my brain doesn't shut off, I'm like, how can I like make my other dreams come true?
Yeah.
So
It's like constant hustle.
What kind of content are you trying to create, you know, after your 9 to 6 job?
So right now, like I'm trying to build my following on socials just in general. So it's like, I like a lot of like wellness and health and mental health and confidence and speaking and engagement, stuff like that. I'm not like necessarily like a beauty influencer or anything like that, but I just like to talk to people. Like that's the thing. So like on my page, like I'll just talk about whatever interests me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that even probably plays in your favor for pharmaceutical sales too. If you like talking to people, you're probably good at that. How'd you get into that? What was that? Because I think we were talking offline earlier and you were just saying like, you know, going from transition from The Bachelor and you would see a lot of people like try and ride the coattails off of that, but you entered the corporate world.
Yeah.
Now, what was that like, you know, getting a job?
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of weird because when you're working in such like a professional corporate setting and you're a reality television personality, it heavily affects. And so I'm inside sales. So I'm not outside sales, which is like kind of a different industry. Like my coworkers and stuff will talk about the show, or I feel like it's preventing me from growing within the company. Like I literally think that.
Yeah.
Do you think that they don't take you as serious because of like your history with the show?
100%. I feel like moving into a different, luckily I went to the show Paradise with this job. So I was already in it before I went back. But I feel like if I went to Paradise and then tried to get into this position, I wouldn't get it. Mainly because people don't take you seriously.
I think that's so odd. And I know that's probably a common thing where you go on a reality TV show and then you're kind of looked at kind of like we were talking about the avatar, like you're that person only. And it's just like, no, that's just you when you're not at work. Like
or even
you're having
just in
fun.
like one set. Like we all have different like depths to us. We're
Yeah,
not
if you saw me at the bar,
one-dimensional.
you would never hire me for a professional job. Like
No, definitely
it's
not.
true, right? but it's true, and it's like people forget that when you're on that show, it's entertainment, and then you're also a normal, professional, organized person that can hold a conversation and, you know, build a professional career.
Yeah.
It's insane to me.
It is. It's really confusing to me because it's like even in the corporate world, people go to happy hours together. So like you'll go from being corporate and then jump off the job and like have drinks and laugh and like do weird stuff.
They're doing the same thing you're seeing on the shows.
Yeah.
It's like,
You
it's
just
not
happen
on
to
camera.
do it in the public eye.
And it's not like I did anything crazy. It's not like I was on there like naked, like doing, just swearing a lot.
It's
like,
just the fact that you were on it,
yeah,
right?
period.
I know.
So it's like, how do you weave, navigate?
I was only on one reality TV show.
What was it?
Past. This is gonna age me. It was called Disaster Date. I don't know.
I know this.
Do you remember it? Do you remember the show on MTV?
Is this serious?
No, this is
dead serious?
This
We
is dead
even
serious.
mentioned this
Wait.
earlier when we were talking about
He's been
reality.
married for like 10 years.
Uh-huh.
So, like,
So this is
like
before then. This is before
this
then.
I'd love that.
So I was on a show called Disaster Date. Now it was only one episode, which is why it didn't affect me long term in my career.
Yeah.
And it was only a 60-minute whatever. So the whole premise of Disaster Date, I don't know if you
I
remember
don't
it.
know. Please
So
I remember, but I
Yeah.
can't remember exactly how.
So you get set up on a blind date and you have to last an hour. And for every minute you're on the show, you get $1. So it's $60 total is the grand prize.
Are you
This is MTV.
You did the show for $60.
Well, no, you
went
do it
on
for
a
free.
date. You went on
do
a
it
date
for
for-
free, and if I last, but I had no idea, so I get set up on a blind date. So a friend types in and kind of like submits an essay or something about you, and says like, "This is what Evan likes, doesn't like, and all the things that turn him off." I don't know. And he wrote that like, "Oh, Evan doesn't like girls that fart, that like belch, like, you know, just like weird. Yeah, like that's what he wrote in there. So when I get set up on this blind date, and I knew something was fishy because they call me and he was like, hey Evan, this girl wants to meet you and they're gonna send a car to pick you up and take you to whatever. And I live in a dorm. I was like 19, and I was like, what?
Like a child.
Yeah, I was like, what are you? They're gonna send a car? Like that's crazy. So I remember getting in the car too, and he was like, oh yeah, well, she's from some rich family or something. I was like, shoot, am I like super underdressed? Like, do I need to get flowers? And they're like, no. So I started asking questions to this guy that was the driver, and he was just like, I could tell I was making him super nervous because he had no answers. So I knew something was fishy. I walked into this place, and throughout the entire hour, this girl was like leaning on her back, farting into midair, like chewing up food, spitting it into her spoon, trying to feed me. She was also like 6'2".
Was she cute?
She was gorgeous.
You were attracted to her?
No, she was a very pretty girl.
Oh.
But then she was just like an actor, right?
She was an actor. But it's just like, and I remember this too, it was really funny. When it aired, my dad told me when after she was like spitting the food, he was just like, I would have just taken the bite.
I'm sick.
John, you need to find this footage.
Back's a bitch.
What's up, MTV? My name's Merlin, and I'm setting my boy Evan up on a disaster date. One time, Evan set me up on the worst blind date ever. The girl was so rude, she slapped the waiter. Now it's time to get it back.
What do you do?
Trying to just be a full-time student.
Well, what are you studying?
Kinesiology.
Very
Trying to
cool.
become a physical therapist someday.
I mean, do you want some?
Oh, no, I'm
Like
okay.
birds. I can chew some for you. It's really good for
Put
you.
some on the fork and offer it to him.
I can put it on a spoon.
Oh no, I'm okay. I'm really okay.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm definitely okay. No, I got my letter.
Money back
Dude,
then.
it was $60 and I got as much red vines and monsters as I could possibly drink.
Oh, your heart.
Oh, so great. I was
Your
just
heart.
living the dream. But that was my only stint on reality TV.
That is amazing.
But it
I'm glad
didn't
it
affect
did,
me
yeah.
long term.
I'm glad it didn't.
Imagine if that followed you around.
Disaster date.
It's just like, it did. Remember, it followed me like a year or two afterwards. Someone recognized me from the show. I was a waiter and I was like serving them and they're like, oh, are you? And actually here, this is a great example, I guess. It did affect me where people assume that you're doing something in that realm after reality TV, even though mine was just one episode
Right.
for 30 minutes, 60 minutes. I was serving them food and they're like, aren't you that guy from Disaster Date? And I was like, how do you know that, first of all? Because I think the episode is called like Evan Loves a Scientist or something like that.
Right.
And
This is so fascinating.
and it was they were like, oh, so are you an actor? I'm like, no. And like, how much did you make from that? You probably made a lot of money. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
I'm waiting tables. And I didn't do anything from that. But it's even from that small piece of it, there was already this correlation of like, oh, you must be doing something else, and having just a normal job loses its wow factor to people, where everybody else has a normal day-to-day job. But if you're on TV and then you transition to having a corporate job, all of a sudden that wow factor is gone.
Exactly.
And even though, like for your case, pharmaceutical sales,
That's
it's great profession.
Huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Love and Other Drugs, love that movie. Jake Gyllenhaal, Anne Hathaway, great movie.
I'll have to watch that. No, yeah, to your point that it's like people think that just because you go on reality television, like all of a sudden, like you're this millionaire, like your movie's Los Angeles, you're
You're
gonna
an
like
instant influencer, like you're getting all the brand deals and people sending you stuff. Yeah.
Right. And sometimes it happens. Like again, some of the leads, like it really did change their life. But I'm like, the people who weren't the leads, it's like we're still working jobs, or like we still have to figure out and navigate. And there's like this pressure on us to maintain like this perfect image that we're not just like regular anymore.
Yeah.
Were you creating content prior to even going on The Bachelor in general? Or is that something that you started doing after the fact?
No, so I always, like, even before going on The Bachelor, like I still wanted to do the television thing. So I'd like started a YouTube, and I was like really passionate about content creation because I wanted to like take it to TV. But after The Bachelor, we signed a contract. And so I really couldn't do like the YouTube thing anymore. And
they don't let you?
no, because it's a competing channel. So like YouTube is like considered like its own network technically, or like channel.
Didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Didn't know that
Yeah.
either. I wonder if that translates now to like Instagram, because Instagram TV
I'm
and that kind of stuff.
Are you still under contract right now or
I'm not, but I think that for people who are doing content creation prior to The Bachelor, I think that they can put amendments in their contracts where it's like I can still content create because this is like my full-time job.
Yeah.
But it wasn't my full-time job before. So they're like, nah, you can't. And you can't take certain brand deals and things like that. I always wanted to do it. So before I was still making content. But
Yeah. And then, so you were mentioning like now you're in this transformation stage. What are you doing during this transformation stage of yours? Like what steps are you taking there?
So I was telling her I got a reading yesterday. And
I want to hear about that.
reading.
A card reading.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so like, I don't know, like spiritual.
Like tarot cards?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's like, I'm religious. So it's like this, I'm like a universe, God kind of person. Like I do like both. Like
I think it's, you can
translate.
have both. I think that it's okay for people to believe in multiple things at the end of the day. It's what gets people through the day to know that there's something, the universe, God, whatever it is, that is out there like watching for you or the reason.
Yeah, why can't you merge it?
Yeah. Well, some people call it the universe, some people call it God, like whatever you call it.
I read this meme the other day, like those two, and then in the streets they call it vibes.
That's great. That's it's vibes.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's just
I got a vibe reading the other day.
Yeah. Whatever. A vibe reading.
I got a vibe reading.
And she was talking about, she was like basically asking like, do you feel lonely? Like, I got like the snake card, and she was like, I feel like you're in a transformation stage where you're shedding this old skin. Like, I don't know what kind of phase in life you are right now. It's like a lot of solitude. And I complain to all my friends who live in Dallas and different places, like, I'm so lonely. Like, I live by myself. I came to a city where it's like, I don't know a ton of people, and I've had a lot of time by myself. And because I have time by myself, like, I've never had a time like this in my life.
No.
It's a really good growth stage to like learn how to be alone with yourself. Everyone was alone during COVID, but I was like alone for weeks because I lived alone. And it was just me and my dog for like, and there'd be weeks where I didn't talk to a single like actual person.
Right.
And like I got really comfortable with being alone, and now I live alone and I'm chilling. I'm still single alone. I'm fine with it. It's been years.
Whoever's watching this,
it's also about the company too that you keep, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like I've had those times, but now even though I'm still like living alone and I don't have a dog or anything, but like I feel like I have
Evan.
and Jenny, I have everybody, John, but like it's the company that you have. You have us, yes. Yeah. But a lot of it is about the company that you keep, and like it's here in LA, especially. Is like we've talked about this multiple times, but it's so hard. It's so hard until you find like your core group of people to really
LA's
feel
very cliquey.
Yeah.
I feel like you once you find your clique, it's pretty solid, but to get in.
It takes
probably really difficult.
We've talked about this. Like it takes like 3 to 5 years in general just to
like,
really
oh,
start.
No, don't tell me.
You found out so you're good. Like 6 months in, you're good now.
No, but I've noticed one thing about LA about just like the way that some of the people work is like when I meet someone new, like any of like these influencer events that I go to, they're always like, "What's your Instagram?" Like it's not even like, "What's your name?" It's not like, "How are you? Where are you from?" It's like, "Hey, like, what's your Instagram?" Like when I'm right in front of you.
It's like an instant valuation of you.
It is.
Rather than have a conversation with the person here, it's like, okay, let's go take it back online and not actually communicate.
Yeah, it's like, let me learn about you by scrolling really quick. And no, not worth my time.
No. And I think it's the most...
We don't vibe. No.
It's the most
really
awkward
weird
thing ever. And I'm like, I don't even like collecting people's Instagram in real life. So like, I'm not going to like, I'm not the kind of person that's like, what's your Instagram? Let's follow each other. I think that's so corny.
It is
I'm like, what's your number? Hi, can I have your number? Like am I old fashioned?
You are. That is.
Yeah, because I'm like, that's not normal to be like, hey, let me look at a second reality of you when you're right in front of me to figure out like what you have going on.
Yeah, I mean, imagine like because I know like the metaverse is coming in. Imagine people just meeting people in the metaverse. It's like pulling down the goggles, like not even meeting people in person.
Terrifies me.
Like Ready Player One. Have you seen that?
Love that movie. Great movie.
It's like, I mean, that's what's gonna happen. But you have your goggles on, but you're like
right in front of that
person, so you're still like having an interaction. It's just in a digital
You're not
form.
actually. I don't know.
That's
scares
weird.
me, and that's like my whole job is deals with the metaverse, and it scares the crap out of me.
It's coming. It is coming. That's for sure.
I'm sure it is.
So these readings.
Oh yeah, I want to hear more about these readings.
about these readings. Yes.
Okay. So she was telling me the transformation thing. She was telling me that I need to like. Are you guys aware of like the feminine and masculine energy? Okay.
Like left side is feminine, right side is masculine.
Oh, well, I don't know what that means.
I know a little bit.
You know Love Island? And the left side, feminine, the right side. Okay. So I'll sleep on my feminine side. Okay.
I didn't know that. What?
I live with a yoga teacher.
Oh yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So she was saying like, are you single? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, well, like you're going to have like the love of your life come in the next 3 to 6 months. Like it's going to be really unexpected, but you need to like really tap into like your femininity. And that's something that I've been working on like this whole year. And it sounds really weird, but it's something that I've been seeing like on TikTok, like more women talking about how we're like masculine because we provide for ourselves, like as women, and like even men these days. I feel like a lot of men aren't as masculine as like our parents. Not you guys. Not you guys.
Definitely not you.
Yeah, not you.
After wearing like jewelry and pearls and stuff.
Not like that. I'm talking like personality wise.
Yeah,
I'm talking
I
about like
got you.
they're asking women like, what can you bring to the table? I'm like, who asks a woman that? Like, what can you do for me? Like as a man, is that not backwards?
Like I still find it like sexy when a man can provide, even though I can provide for myself. Like I think that having both is good.
Right.
Yeah. I agree.
He's been out of the dating world.
Yep. Well, no, I was actually just treading on shallow waters. Don't know what to say. Well, no, I was just because like we were watching another podcast before this, and something that they were talking about that I thought was interesting, like just speaking of masculine and feminine, but just someone like opening doors and like just being
chivalrous.
yeah, chivalrous and
Do
paying
you
for
still
a
do
first
that?
date. 1,000%. If I don't,
Good, all right.
I'm gonna hear about it.
Yeah.
If I don't hold the door for someone else, like I feel bad. It doesn't matter if they're a woman or a man.
it's just
If they're right behind
manners.
me, it's
like
manners.
Manners in
Right.
And
general.
I just think that it is something that is getting a little bit lost. It's just chivalry, respect.
Right.
Yeah.
Not only just for the opposite gender, but for your own gender as well.
Effort in general.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like in this city, especially, I feel like just no one wants to put in effort because everybody here is trying to be someone or is someone. So then it's like
Someone.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
they
Who
don't
cares?
try. No one tries anymore.
The one thing I do like about the South, because I lived in the South for a while, is how much chivalry is still
I was gonna say
alive.
you're from Dallas,
Yeah.
so
You grew up
That's
out
what-
there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
plays
I did.
into
Well,
it.
I grew up in Maine, but like I grew up enough in Dallas. Like and I
Okay.
still live
Maine.
there. Like we still have. Yeah. Maine.
I've never met anybody
Yeah.
from Maine. Like,
Welcome.
what's it like
Boston.
in Maine?
Yeah, what is Maine like?
Oh no, sorry.
Wait, did you say Boston?
I didn't say
Did
that.
you just
I
say
didn't
Boston? Hold on.
I was thinking Massachusetts.
Scratch
I was
free
like,
space.
Yeah.
We'll cut that
John's
out.
gonna edit that.
Chris has been out here for too long. He's been microdosing too much. He just thought Boston was in Maine. Okay, anyways, what's Maine like? Just really quick.
It's kind of like the Dakotas. It's like we have local grocery stores.
You guys don't have seasoning?
we don't. A lot of people don't. It's a lot of lobster. It's a lot of seafood. It's super
I've heard
fresh.
it's so good out there.
Tex-Mex?
Super fresh.
Any Tex-Mex?
In Maine?
It's
Not
everywhere.
really.
out-
I lived on an island though.
Oh, you did?
I lived on Bar Harbor, so it was like
Maine is
so
not in
small.
Texas.
How many people were in that?
Probably like 10,000.
Oh, that's smaller than my hometown.
Yeah.
So that is small.
There was like 500 people at my high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that
the
sounds
vibe.
about right. I think there was 200 at my high school.
So you're really like
Well, I went to high school in Carmel, but then in my 8th grade class, there was only 10 people. I grew up in Hawaii.
okay. Oh, wait, that
so
makes sense.
really,
okay.
really small.
Yeah, it's like everybody dated everybody like twice.
Yeah.
Like you dated someone in middle school and then you dated him again in high school and like your best friend dated him and like that's literally
That's
the
how
story.
my hometown is.
I love
too.
it. The incest is so amazing. It's like everybody's just like trading.
House of Dragons. All right.
Do what you gotta do.
Wait, then really quick, then what brought you out to Dallas?
So I was born in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is kind of confusing. Let me just break down really quick. My dad is Nigerian. So he works in Nigeria, but he also has like a home in Dallas. So our home station when my mom and my dad were together was Dallas. When my mom and dad got divorced, my mom moved to Maine. So now it's like a triangle of like Maine, Dallas, Nigeria of like family.
Wow.
Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have 11 siblings.
Oh my
What?
god. What's that like?
It's you're never alone, which is why it's
Well,
hard for me
that's
to be
interesting
alone.
to be. Yeah.
Where
now
where are you in the
Third
order?
oldest.
Third
Oh my God.
oldest. Got it.
So you
Wow.
probably grew up taking care of your siblings too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like your younger siblings. Because one of my siblings that my mom had, I think she's like 7 years or 8 years difference with me. So it's like she was a baby and I was like old enough to recognize like, oh, you're a baby. Like
Yeah.
I can babysit you and take care of you and stuff like that.
That's crazy.
So then do you have a massive family then?
A really big family.
Wow.
Yeah.
The family get-togethers must be a freaking party.
Yeah, it is. But it's like crazy because since my mom lives in Maine, it's kind of hard. Like sometimes we're splitting. Like
Oh,
sometimes we'll do stuff in Maine and sometimes we'll do stuff in Texas. But it's like hard when there's like so many different places that
to go.
everyone is.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. So the transition now to living by yourself, like
It's hard.
it's
that all makes
Yeah.
way more sense. Well, it does in general, but when you leave a family that big too
Mm-hmm.
behind to move out on your own,
Yeah.
that's tough.
And I'm used to having family in the state at least.
yeah.
So it's like,
Did you move here with not knowing anybody?
so like I know it's weird because it's like I know of people, like some of my Bachelor co-stars live here, and like I have like random people, like one of my best friends from like middle school, she lives here, but it's kind of far. She's like 45 minutes from me or 30 minutes from me. But it still doesn't feel like home.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll take time, but it
Yeah.
will eventually, I think. I mean, it took me a couple of years, but
Yeah.
you'll get there. Don't give
3 to
up.
5 years, he said, before I find my tribe. I'll talk to you guys in 3 years.
So was it correct? Okay, so back to the reading though. So I know it said explore your femininity.
Yeah.
You know.
Femininity.
I feel like I have a stutter.
Yeah.
Anything else that you got from the reading?
I mean, a lot of it was like the transformation. She was like, you really need to focus on self. You need to like hone in on your routines, like your morning routine, your night routine. Oh, and she said, you need to stop controlling everything.
That's
and like,
big.
I'm a control freak. Like I have my hands on everything. Like ask Matt. He's like, you're crazy.
Hi, Matt.
So she was basically like, nothing is going to happen for you unless you like let the
go.
reins go.
That's
And
really
hard.
tough.
It's
I feel like a
hard.
lot of people struggle with control and like wanting to manipulate the situation so that it works in our favor. Like who doesn't?
Right.
But just trusting that the process is going to take you through and get you where you need to be is like a difficult thing.
Yeah.
When you heard that, what did you think was the aspect of your life that you were needed to release the most control?
I think it's like the work aspect.
Yeah.
Because since I'm working full time, I'm like pushing. I'm like, Matt, like I need to get into like acting classes. I need to do this. I need to be on like television because it's like.
Well, I mean, that's a hustler's mentality too. I mean.
It is, but I think that I'm like pushing too hard and it's like I just kind of need to like wait and like keep my feet moving, like still create content, like not push myself to the point where it's like I'm like butting heads with everybody because I'm like trying to find a door. And just like let things come to me. Like that's what she was kind of saying is like, you're planting the seeds, just like do it really slowly, wait for things to come to you and don't like force it. So
No, that's
I don't want to be a hustler.
Don't want to be a hustler.
I'm tired of being a hustler. I want to be a passenger princess.
A passenger princess.
I have never heard that.
I've never heard that phrase either. That's great.
Yeah.
That's really fascinating. Was that your first tarot reading? Just
No, so I've had one before, but I can't really remember. I have a really bad memory. So I'm like, she told me something, but I'm like, I can't remember it.
I actually have a tattoo for tarot cards on my arm.
really? Have you ever got a reading?
No.
Those are tarot card readings? Oh, I
This is
just thought you like daggers and
It's the
swords.
Seven of Swords card.
What does that mean?
So, from my understanding of the card, is the story of this soldier who worked for this or was with a company, and he betrayed his company that he's with, but he stole their weapons, and when he was leaving, he dropped the weapons and got caught. So, the moral of this card is to not to like lie and cheat and steal your way to the top.
All right.
That's
I think
amazing.
That's what I read. Well, that's my interpretation of it, but like,
yeah, I think
no, that's like my interpretation. I'm
someone's
sure.
gonna write in the comments like,
That's
no.
not it. Oh, yeah. I can't wait to hear whatever. But I'm sure though, like someone who actually reads has many interpretations of what that means. But that was the one that I identified with. So
yeah, I like that.
and now it's on my body. So it's,
Hey, it's there forever.
Please be right. So what's next for you?
What's next for me? I'm letting go. What's next is just living life, finding my tribe, taking time, enjoying life. I feel like I don't want to have to like live up to the standard of like, what's next? Like, what's coming for you? I'm sick of that question. In the
Do you think since you're out here in LA now and after coming off the shows and everything, and then, you know, you were talking about some of the people that may have gotten more airtime or all the other contestants on those shows, do you ever find yourself comparing what they're doing versus what you're doing? I know I do it all the time. I'm sure we all fall victim to it. Is that something you encounter?
100%.
Really?
And it's something that I like bring up, like even to my manager, I'm like, well, this person's doing this. Like, you know, why can't we do this? And like, there's just like, you have to remember, like you have a lane and like you're in your lane for a reason. And there's a reason that the audience didn't resonate with you as much as they resonated with this other person. And like, maybe that's not your audience. Like maybe you're knocking on the wrong door. So that's what I'm starting to understand is like, I'm comparing myself to people who aren't in the same lane as me.
that's hard to recognize and like to see that for. I mean, we all probably deal with that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I fall victim to it all the time. You look at photographers or just people in general. It doesn't even have to be necessarily in the same industry. You just kind of look at them and see what they're doing, all the awesome things they're accomplishing. You're like, why am I not doing that as well? Or why am I not at that same level that they're at? But like you said, everybody's in their own lane. It's your time. It's your reality.
Right.
If you can stop comparing yourself to everybody else, I feel like you're going to go a lot farther and be a lot happier while you're doing it.
Yeah. And maybe you're meant to be bigger than the person that you're comparing yourself to. And it's just not the right time. Like I'm a big believer in like, there's people who like peak in high school. Like we were probably looking at the kids in high school, like, why don't I look like you?
Yeah.
And then they went down exponentially after that. And it's like people who peak after high school, it's like there was a reason that you didn't peak at that time. And so like I remember those times, it's like I was ugly and I was not cool. Like, so now I'm like, my time is coming. It's just there's certain things that have to happen in my life first. And I believe that 100%.
And we've had this conversation many times too, but like, I mean, we're all in our 30s and like still opportunity is still coming. We're still figuring things out. So like, even if I am 40,
Doesn't matter.
You're not.
Haters.
like, or like later in life, figuring it out, taking on new opportunities. I don't think age really matters as long as we like continue to strive and grow with whatever is thrown your way.
Some of the most successful people have built something in their 40s, you know? Like it's like there's always time. There's always time.
100%.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think age, this is such a cliche, but age is just a number. It doesn't mean if you're at 26 or at 30 or 35, it doesn't mean you need to be somewhere.
Right.
Because of your age.
Yeah.
It is your time, it's your reality, and it's your destiny to be where you're going. I think that's just such an old way of thinking that we've attributed to nowadays, where it's very different. Where people in the past, you know, it was such a checklist of things. Like you go to school, you maybe go to college, then you go get married, and then you get your job, and then you die at your job, and like that's. And I even
You have some babies in there maybe before you die.
Oh yeah, sure, one of those too. But it's just like all check all these boxes. And I was even watching something the other day, and it's just like how different generations aspire for jobs. And it was a funny TikTok thing, and it was like boomers just like, I just want a job. And then it was Gen X, and they're like, well, if this job suits my career. And then it was millennials, and like, well, if they have oat milk and kombucha, I'm there. And then Gen Z is like, what's a job? And it was like, but it's like, it's the mindset is shifted, and there's just a lot more opportunity out there for everybody. So finding your way may take longer, may be quicker, but it's very different than it used to be, is my point.
I agree. And I think that we also have to like be careful of how we compare to people, because the internet is a lie.
Oh yeah.
I've seen so many people who appear like something, or that they're doing something online, and in reality they're doing nothing. And then there's people who have no social media and no following, and they're doing amazing things in real life. So I'm like, yeah, it looks like that online, but I'm also really cautious. Like, be careful what you're comparing yourself to, because you're probably comparing yourself to not actually what reality is.
It's all a facade and an illusion that people can create, and you don't even actually know what's real and what's not.
I always say whenever I'm the most active on social is when I'm the least busy in real life.
Because you have time.
What?
Because you have time to do it.
Because I have time. Well, if you don't see me post or comment back or that kind of stuff,
You're in Italy traveling the world.
I'm doing something way cooler than sitting at my house and like, oh, I need to make a reel.
Right.
You know, it's true.
But I'll say some of like the most successful people just post and they get off, or like whatever. Like even like Joe Rogan just like throws shit up there and then just gets off. And what, like, there's that strategy too.
Unless you're like a content creation, then it's
then it's harder, because then you actually have to put thought and effort into it. So transitioning from working to content creation, is that like, do you post daily? Is that something like coming up with ideas, and is that an issue for you, or is that easy? Does it flow?
It used to be really easy for me, and I find now that it's harder, because I'm kind of like in a weird growing stage in my life where I've been doing it, I feel like, so hard. I've been going so hard, trying to post every single day, trying to make content like weekly, trying to make reels, trying to keep up with the algorithm. And it's like you get burned out. Like in working full time, I'm like, my creativity is like dwindling. I'm like, how do I not lose this creativity that I had? Because I used to love to share everything, and now it's like, I do it. Like, I'll take a picture of this and like, I'll post it. And I'm like, it's like I'm dreading doing it.
It is really hard to, I mean, I don't do it the way you guys do it, like as much as you guys. And it's exhausting just on the little bit that I do. I'm like, I don't.
Yeah.
It's harder than it looks.
Yeah.
I'll say that. Yesterday, I gave a different approach to my content that I post.
What is you?
And this was me going to the store and getting a product and then taking and doing a photo shoot at my house. I never film outside in the real world. I always have my studio. I film in there, and that's like my little safe zone.
Right.
So nobody sees me. But because, you know, we all fall victim to when we're walking down the street and we see people like taking the selfies out there. And you're like, oh, look at that person taking a selfie, doing a TikTok or something. And so I didn't want to do that. I had my own mental block about it. But yesterday I was just like, F it, let me go out and do this. So I filmed, and that was getting in my car, I say something, and then I walk up to Ralph's or Whole Foods or something, do that. I'm filming in the store.
Look at you.
Oh, it was scary.
Yeah.
You did
It's
this by
embarrassing.
yourself?
I did this by myself.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it was a big
Proud of
step.
you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Proud of you.
Thanks, guys. I'll take a clap. Thank you, Chris. But it is difficult, and it's hard to be consistent. But
is.
it's how you got to do it, I guess. Right?
Yeah. And when you're doing it for a business like strategy, like as a content creator, like you having to like post certain links and like you have to make sure that you're like product facing and like you're tagging the product. It's like there's so many different things that go in. It's not just posting. So that's why it becomes exhausting because you're like, I have to make it worth it.
And you're all doing it for the most part by yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You have a team, but it's like
Unless
you're
you have
having
like
to
an
come up with
assistant. Yeah.
you're having to come up with these ideas.
Exactly.
It's difficult, Evan.
Yeah, I know it's difficult.
It's him in the
right?
grocery store.
Hey guys, I'm here at Ralph's. I'm like totally like, I love it.
Did you do
like,
that?
hey guys, I'm at Ralph's. Hey, here, come here, just come talk to me. No, I didn't do any of that. I'm literally have my phone out like this, and I'm walking down the aisle just.
You're barely doing.
Shit, they saw me, and I'm just so nervous. I go to that Ralph's all the time. I was like, oh yeah.
That's how it was the other day. Like I was filming with Nancy and we were like in front of Zinc and she wanted me to go like in front of these people and like skate and stuff. I'm like, Nancy, like
Dude, you used to be so good at that stuff.
Let's get like in the alley, around nobody, like in front of a wall.
I mean, at the same time, like, yeah, sure, I've had those moments of judgment, and I shouldn't have those on others. But when you get boiled down, who the fuck cares,
No,
man?
sure, for sure.
Like, if you're doing it for a purpose and you're doing it to grow, you're doing it for your business, especially if you're building a business and you're trying to get out there and you're making yourself vulnerable, fucking do it. Like, just don't worry about what other people are looking at you and judging you because you're holding your phone and you're taking a selfie or you're filming something out in public. Do it.
That might be like one of the only redeeming factors about LA is everyone is.
Everyone
Yeah.
does it.
so
so-
normal, yeah.
Yeah,
And so
you can
even
literally
if-
ask somebody and just like, oh no, I don't do that unless you pay me. And it's like, what? You're a stranger on the road. But,
I just think it's like the funniest thing when you see someone, they're like, hi guys, welcome. And then all of a sudden it's like,
Yeah.
they're done. They have to edit the video and post it.
or they have to do it again.
Yeah.
That's even better. Just like, hey guys, oh, I didn't like that one.
Yeah.
Hey guys, oh no,
Yeah.
hey guys.
That's the only thing I'm like, it's hilarious. It's crazy to watch that's our reality now.
Yeah.
And I'm a part of it.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a fantastic chat. I've really enjoyed having you on. We've all enjoyed having you on. Where can people find you, reach you?
Everything.
Yeah.
You guys can reach me. Hey guys. You can reach me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at DEANDRA KANU. That's all my handles.
Awesome. We'll throw that up there so people can see it. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you guys
on
for
here.
having me.
you.
I
Yeah,
love
thank you.
this.
This is awesome. We'll have you back
I would love to
in
be
3
back.
years.
In 3 years. Oh yeah, we want to
five.
So whenever I have my job,
So
I'll text you
we'll
guys.
see.
We'll be
We'll
in
have
touch.
them on too. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. This is Decent Human Podcast. Have a great day.